live from San Diego, California. This is the San Diego Sports Junkies, a show for fans, by the fans. With Josh Taylor, Justin Smead, Jason Eidsmo, and Mike Maciejewski, we're talking Chargers, Padres, and Aztec sports. It's time to let your voice be heard. What's up there, Bolt Pride Nation? This is the San Diego Sports Junkies, a show for fans.
By the fans.
We're down here at H3 at Qualcomm Stadium for the Chargers-Jets matchup. We're down here with our sponsors, Cali Comfort, home of the Low and Slow Barbecue. So come on down to H3. We got two $50 gift cards we're going to be giving away. Come down, fill out the form, put it in the fishbowl, and let's get the ball rolling, guys.
The world famous fishbowl, Mikey.
Yes, world famous. Yeah, come fill out, join their email club today, and then put it in the fishbowl, and we'll be picking two winners today, and we'll let you know if you won. $50 goes a long way over at Cali.
Absolutely.
Get you a fishbowl and a whole dinner.
Yes.
So as we talked about in the Wednesday's show, which for those of you that did listen in, we apologize for the technical difficulties. We got Jason back from his vacation, so that will never happen again.
Absolutely.
Can someone play the round of applause? Little soundbite there.
I'm only allowed one vacation every 5 years.
Jake Hefner from BoltBeat.com. He is throwing on the headset. Welcome to the party, Jake.
Gentlemen, good to be down here at the Qualcomm. The Qualcomm. Subway in the belly, liquid courage in the left hand, and we're all ready to roll.
Damn right. So we were kind of talking about, as far as the Chargers offense is concerned, what to watch for from the Chargers offense. You know, we talked a little bit about Phillip Rivers and the fact that he's on fire. I want to jump to, Eddie Royal, 4 touchdowns through the first 4 games. The guy's been a monster. Early on in 2013, he's had the same hot streak at the beginning, battled some injuries moving forward. What do you think is going to be the case, in today's matchup? Is Eddie
Going to be good because you got D. Milliner coming back from an injury today, and Antonio Allen. Most of these cover corners for the Jets are mediocre at best. So you're going to want to use those matchups, those matchups that you have, and exploit those and continue to go downfield.
Yeah, I think that's something we forget too is the screen game. We don't have to run the ball to get a couple yards. Just throw it out there and use their aggressiveness against them, and that's always been the ideal way to attack an aggressive defense is throwing the screen game, keeping them honest, pushing them back, not letting them get to Phillip. I think that's going to be important, especially since they lead the league in sacks, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's
You have I believe they're tied with San Diego with 10.
Okay.
But Sheldon Richardson and Muhammad Wilkson both account for 5 of theirs.
Wow.
I think it's Muhammad that's 16 tackles already through 4 games, and Sheldon's got 14. So their defensive front 7 is nasty. So of course they're going to want to create pressure. Doug Legursky and the offensive line is going to have to be on their A game today to give Phillip enough protection to get down the field. But you know what? I think the right adjustments are going to be made. The Chargers already have the upper hand in that matchup, in my opinion. But here's one thing, and I was thinking about this after I got off the line with you guys on Wednesday, and something that I haven't heard anybody speak of, whether it's mainstream media or anything like that. How come nobody is talking about Kellen Clemens? Why is nobody talking about Kellen Clemens? You have basically a spy who was with Rex Ryan for a good 3 to 4 years, knows that defensive system, spent a lot of time as a backup quarterback, so I'm sure that he's been able to give a plethora of knowledge to both McCoy and Rivers for this game and what type of blitzes and schemes that Rex Ryan's going to draw up.
That's a great point. Yeah, you're right. And I don't know why we don't talk about it, but that's a great advantage for the Chargers. And, based on last week and the last couple of games, I haven't been as worried as I am a little bit about this Jets game because, first of all, it's the Jets. We have so much trouble with the Jets recently. And then also, you're right, that defense, it's a whole different animal. 2 guys that you just have to account for. And it worries me if this young patchwork line can account for them. So taking every advantage, like Kellen Clemens, is going to be important for McCoy to go ahead and game plan for this game so the Chargers can be effective and successful.
Yeah. I think Kellen Clemens has actually been a large part of Phillip Rivers' success. I think people don't understand how important the backup quarterback is. That's why when we were talking in the preseason whether or not they were going to keep 3 or 2 and if they were going to keep Kellen Clemens or not, I think that he has a lot of value on the sidelines looking at the formations and kind of giving Rivers feedback when he comes off the field. And I think people have forgotten about that this season. I think he's been a big part of our success.
Absolutely. And another big part to our success has been our weapons from the passing game. We spoke about Eddie Royal. Keenan Allen has a breakout game, 10 receptions, 135 yards. Gates has been a beast. Are we going to see some Ladarius Green? I know we keep talking about it. I know I want to see him. From everybody who's been listening, I want to see him unleashed. Do we see some Ladarius Green today? Do we see Malcolm Floyd have another big game? Do we stretch the field? These are the things that I wonder, being the fact that I think the Chargers are going to have another tough time running the ball because of the personnel and injuries that we have located. So do we stretch the field? Do we go, a la Norv Turner stretching it down the field? Or are we going to dink and dunk our way down the field?
ride Rivers while he's hot, is my opinion. Why not? Why fix something that ain't broke? It's what's working well for the Chargers right now. To your point about Ladarius Green, I mean, all your tight ends are healthy for this game. David Johnson's back healthy. Ladarius Green's back healthy. They all practice fully this week. So you're going to be able to get a little bit more creative. I'd actually like to see if there is, slightly as it may be, but any improvement in the run game at all, because you're going to have David Johnson drop back to his fullback position. Let's see if that, at least for the time being, gives a little bit of assistance to Donald Brown there in the backfield. But now you got John Phillips, Antonio Gates, and Ladarius Green. I think you're going to be able to get creative with 2 tight end sets and get them down the field. And that way, that's going to take away the blitz from Rex Ryan. He's going to have to come up with something different in order to cover us downfield.
I agree with that, and you had mentioned David Johnson, and we haven't really seen him lining up as fullback too much this season. I know that part of it's been he's been battling a little bit of injuries. Do you think that that's part of the reason why our running game hasn't been there?
Honestly, I do. I mean, with Matthews, what he did last year with LaRon McClain, I'm sure that a lot of people don't attribute a lot of his success to the fullback position. Chargers really haven't had a great fullback since Low Neal back in the days. So, right. But in our circumstance, I think it definitely helps when you have a guy who's that physical type of blocker, whether it's from the tight end position or the fullback position, and any advantage that you can get to knock another guy off the line to get a running game going. I think
and a bunch of other things that the Chargers can do offensively to be even more potent as an offense. So, can the Chargers running game get moving against this front seven?
Again, today against this front seven, it's going to be a definite challenge. But, if you can make some type of strides where you can have a little bit of balance to where you don't have to rely on Phillip Rivers' arm all day today, if you can get that screen game open. And again, it's not like the Chargers necessarily need the run game to beat the Jets today, but I get what you're trying to say. Going forward, you need to have more balance. You need to get the running game going. It would be nice to see if it would become successful without Ryan Matthews in the backfield. And right. The investment that we were talking about on Wednesday for Donald Brown, is it ultimately going to be worth it? Can he carry the load in these certain type of situations? So I guarantee you, with the way that McCoy preached about the running game needing to be fixed this week, he's definitely not going to shy away from it. It's not going to be like the Jacksonville game where, Donald Brown ran a couple times, it didn't work, okay, we went to the air. I think consistently you're going to see, if you can get that push inside, which the Chargers have not been able to do all season long, even with Ryan Matthews in there, if they can get those inside runs going, then the Chargers are going to be rolling this afternoon. Long drives like we're used to, and hopefully ending with touchdowns in the end zone.
I found interesting, I was reading this week, is that last year, King Dunlap was the #1 rated run blocker in the NFL. That's crazy to me that we're so bad at running this season, and we did have so much success behind him last year. I know it's only one player. I know the rest of the line's banged up, and I know this week you've alluded to the fact that they need to come together and get some cohesiveness, but I think it starts with him.
Yeah, I mean, what was it that you guys were saying? 2 of our offensive linemen were like at the bottom rated as far as, their grade and what they got.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, again, it's you can have one, but you need all 5 of them working together in order for you to have some success. So they're going to have to do that in order to get the run game. It takes all 5 guys. King Dunlap, best run blocking offensive lineman in the league. Hey, that's great. That's a great start.
Yeah.
Now let's get Fluker on the other side. Let's get Chad Reinhardt in the middle.
Reinhardt, I think, is the one who really needs to pick it up. I've been last couple games. I've been you watch the whole game, but every once in a while you like to isolate somebody, and I've been isolating on him, and he seems to be getting worked sometimes up there. I think he really needs to step up his game. What about Chris Watt? Do you think that we're going to see some more of him? Do you think they're going to maybe bring him interior?
Honestly, I don't know if it's such a good idea. Even the way they rotated him last week against Jacksonville, it wasn't that big of a threat. If Doug Legursky goes out there and, the first half just totally stinks up the place the way he did last week with the botched snap and, the false start, I don't think that, I think he'll be on a short leash today. I don't think McCoy's afraid to put Watt in there whatsoever. But if Legursky is working, then by no means take him out. Leave him in there. You have that nice veteran presence in there, even though he hasn't been with the team, longer than 2 weeks. You still need to do that.
I'm really happy you brought up Legursky because there was a lot of Twitter hate on Legursky last week, and I'll tell you, I kind of, although he didn't play the greatest, I want to see him maybe see how he can play when he gets a little bit more work with the offense. The poor guy, remember, he was not on a team. He wasn't on a team because he's not one of the best centers in the league. We picked him up. He was available, and everybody expected him to come in and come in there with no problems and be some Pro Bowl center. He was a guy that nobody else wanted. He had only worked with Rivers for 4 days. Let's give him a week before we start hating on the poor guy.
Absolutely. I mean, if you're bringing in offensive linemen off the street, it's not like recycling wide receivers like the Chargers did a couple years ago when they brought in Seijer Tutu on a week's notice, and he went to Houston and he had a huge game and caught 2 touchdown passes in that game. Offensive linemen, not only do you have to have the communication all set with all your guys, but you're not just taking on one guy. You're having guys that are going to be having stunts coming from every different direction, so you have to have that kind of familiarity with the playbook, familiarity with your teammates on either side of you. So it's not the easiest position to just plug and play and expect them to be, go out there and basically go, perform without any bumps in the road.
Exactly, and the centers, they expect the center to be making line calls and all of that stuff. That's a lot to handle after 4 days. So let's let him make an illegal snap. Let's let him have a false start his first game, and maybe we can cut him down the second week.
All right, now we've heard about the Chargers offense. Let's flip the page. What to watch for from the Jets offense? Obviously, we know about the two-headed monster, CJ2K, a.k.a. Chris Johnson, and Chris Ivory are both home run potential running backs. What are some of the things that we need to be worried about from the Jets offense going into this game?
Well, the Chargers defense right now has given up just a little over 100 yards per game on the ground. And the Jets rushing offense, second in the league, it's a 151 average per game. I mean, that's good. That's something you definitely need to clamp down on. You need to take care of the running game in order to make Geno Smith one-dimensional against you. Make Geno beat you. He's thrown 7 interceptions through these 4 games, these first 4 weeks here. So you're going to want to rely on that. That way your defensive backs can get a little bit more creative in their coverage. And, again, it all starts up front. Corey Liuget needs to come to play today. The entire defensive line needs to come and play today. You take away that run game from Geno Smith, you're going to have a good advantage on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah. What do you I know we talk a lot about Corey Liuget. He's really stood out. He's been a big player. To me, I think Kendall Reyes is just as important. And I mean, I know I've talked to a lot of people, and a lot of people don't see it because I think he does a lot of the dirty work, takes on the double team. Because we were always concerned who was going to be that man that created the pressure or that did the dirty work. And usually it's your defensive tackle. I feel like that's been Reyes this year. He's been the one that's kind of like, brought a lot of attention. I see him always pushing this guy back. I mentioned the pump block a couple games ago, where if you look back at the film, the guy that was going to cover the guy who blocked the punt had to slide over to stop Kendall Reyes and help his partner out or help the other lineman out. So I don't know if you see it like I do, Jake, but I think he's just as, if not more important than Corey Liuget.
Yeah, and again, even in the middle up front, I mean, look at Ricardo Matthews last week. I mean, got a sack on his first week, stepping into a starting role, and that's a great job for the defensive line when you can come in there and like we were just saying, compared to Legursky stepping up in a big way, same way that he stepped up. He got a sack on his first game in playing time. You also have Carruthers that you're rotating in and out in that sequence. So, of course, the defensive line is just absolutely huge. And alongside with the linebacker situation, Dwight Freeney, he's questionable today. If you're probably going to, most likely you're going to be putting Cordero Law back out there again. I would love to see him be
fine with that.
Rush. Yes, with the performance that he put on last week, absolutely okay with him rushing the passer. We're still short Melvin Ingram, Jerry Tauchu
are both out.
Yes.
I was just going to say, I've been out of town for the week. I haven't been following as closely as I have in the past. Jerry Tauchu is out.
He is out for this game, yes.
He is.
Now, how about Corey Liuget? Is he out?
They say that he's questionable, but he practiced throughout the week.
Okay.
Even though that he was kind of late passing his physical protocol test for his concussion.
Right.
But when you don't have that type of talent at linebacker spot, when you have Freeney who's kind of ailing off a knee injury, and you're already without Melvin Ingram and Tauchu, you're going to need that push up front from your front four.
Do you think Freeney plays today? I've heard some people starting to feel the doubt starting to creep in that he plays today. For me, I don't know. What do you think?
I think he plays today. He seemed really optimistic. He sounded like a guy who could wake up on Saturday morning and that his knee would be just fine within playing shape. So I think he's gonna give it a go today, and I think he'll be just fine. Let's just say this: nobody in the entire National Football League is truly 100% healthy right now.
True.
All these guys are banged up in one way or another, and it's just all how you go about your recovery process to it. So Freeney will be out there today, but again, like we alluded to, I think for the defense, Corey Liuget and Kendall Reyes are the two most important pieces.
Corey, too legit to quit. needs to keep going out there and just, wreaking havoc on that offensive line, getting in the backfield and smashing the quarterback. I think on the tear that he's on through the first 4 weeks, if he can maintain that this year, there's no reason why he can't be in the Defensive Player of the Year category. I mean, the guy has been phenomenal. He can take on 2 guys. I think he's kind of rubbing off, or Freeney's kind of rubbing off on him. You see a little spin, #Spinneroonie coming off from Corey Too Legit to Quit. I'm really excited about this team, and I think we talked about kind of in the past show, one thing that Phillip Rivers and the offense has lacked over the last several years has been a defense. And to have a defense as opportunistic as the Chargers have, getting, 8 turnovers through 4 games, that only bodes well for our offense, because Phillip Rivers is going to get the ball that much more, and we're going to be that much more lethal in the end zone.
I'm glad you brought up the Phillip Rivers having a defensive aspect. We got our first 2 interceptions last week against Jacksonville. Those have to continue this week.
Yep.
Geno Smith is a turnover machine. We've already seen it through the first 4 weeks. You're going to need to continue to exploit that. We've had a good success creating fumbles, but we need to start having those interceptions starting to, come about in bunches every single week.
I was really happy when I saw Flowers make that interception. It wasn't just seeing him make the interception; it was how it was done. It was an aggressive style of cornerback. He made a move. He took a chance. He made the interception. It wasn't one that got tipped to him. It wasn't like Weddle, which was a great play. Weddle was in the right spot. But I was just so impressed by the way Flowers, and it just made me think of that attitude that Brandon Flowers has brought to our defense. And I think that was the beginning of it's the same way you see Verrett been playing so far this year. Very aggressive, not afraid, and that's something that we lacked last year, and I think that we need to do that against Geno Smith.
I want to welcome #Spinneroonie SoCal Trav to the conversation. What's up, dude?
What's up, fellas? Good morning.
How's it going, man?
I'm sweating like a freaking fat pig.
Yeah.
Dude, it is white hot out here in H3. Good gracious.
It's not the day for the Boltz to be wearing their dark blue unis today, I tell you that. They're going to be sweating like pigs, too.
So we're out here in H3 with Cali Comfort. We've got our live pregame podcast, Jets versus Chargers. We've been talking defense, so let me have it. What do you think is going to be the biggest key defensively against the Jets offense?
Well, considering I've been hearing rumors that Freeney is not playing today, hopefully that's not true, but I think the key is just not allow them to go 3rd and long and make the first down. I mean, it's we got to stick coverage, and we got to watch that deep pass, even though it's Geno Smith.
Right.
I mean, we don't want to be the people that gets him on his hot streak. We want to be the reason why he was benched.
Well, we were talking about the two-headed monster, obviously, CJ 2K and Chris Ivory. Jake alluded that they're rushing for 151 yards a game is what they're averaging. So I agree with you. The 3rd and long situation is going to be key, because if you get in short yardage situations, that's where they're going to be most dangerous. So by our defensive front 7 applying pressure to their offense, keeping them back in those 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8 situations is going to be extremely key to today's victory.
Yeah, I agree. The defensive front is solid. I'm still a little worried, even though the secondary is stepped up, like Sharice Wright. He's playing stick of football, Eric Weddle, but I'm still concerned about the secondary. I mean, I think it's been a concern for everybody amongst Charger Nation. But our front 7, if they run it, they ain't going anywhere. Those guys are like rock solid.
SoCal Trav, we're going to run a quick commercial here. If you can hang tight and talk some more Chargers football. We're down here at Qualcomm Stadium at H3. Come join the conversation. Brought to you by Cali Comfort, home of the Low and Slow Barbecue. Bring it! Are you looking for a bar for your next sporting event? Come to Cali Comfort Sports Bar in the heart of Spring Valley, where they are passionate about sticking to the true barbecue traditions. Using their unique low and slow method, you are guaranteed great barbecue no matter what you order. From pulled pork to tri-tip, football to MMA, Cali Comfort is your one-stop shop for all your sports and barbecue needs. Find them online, CaliComfortSD.com. need help with your business project that is due? Maybe you need business cards to help your business stand out. We at San Diego Sports Junkies got you covered. SK Digital Imaging can do it all. Give our buddy Sean K a call, 858-408-0732. SK Digital Imaging, from business cards to the bigger projects, SK Digital Imaging and our buddy Sean K will get your printing done right.
Coming your way, we're gonna dazzle you with our play. The time has come, you know we're shooting for number one. The thunderbolts and lightning will light up the sky.
That's awesome.
What's up, Bolt Nation? We're down here at Qualcomm Stadium in H3. The place is popping. It's hot as hell out here. I need a beer. We're talking some Chargers football. Chargers versus Jets week 5. The Boltz are on fire. They're 3-1. Phillip Rivers has really got this offense in high gear. I want to stay on the defensive side of the ball, though. There's a couple things that I kind of compiled before the game. The Chargers defense in the fourth quarter has not allowed one score over the last 3 games. So, to me, I think the first half is going to be most important for this Chargers team to get out
and handled their business in the first half. I don't want to see Geno Smith come out and for us to kind of get a little bit worried. You know, I want to see Michael Vick in the third quarter, to be honest with you. You know, that's what
jump in. SoCal Trap.
I'm just listening to you guys.
SoCal Trap, baby. Jump on in.
I'm just ripping. I mean, I have to agree with you on the deferring of to the second half. I think we definitely are a second half team this season. I would like to see the defense be like that for all 4 quarters.
You know, I don't have the stats right in front of me. The thing that you guys mentioned about the deferring is how many times. You know, this is a question that nobody's going to probably know the exact answer to. How many times do we remember the Chargers taking the ball, scoring to end the second half, getting it in the second quarter, getting it in the third quarter, and going right down and scoring again? It seems to happen a lot.
I was going to say, if I have to throw a number out there, it's got to be 70%. I mean, it seems like you said, whether it's a touchdown or a field goal, it seems like we're always scoring at the end of the half, and then we get the ball to start the second half, which is just huge for pulling away from the competition.
Absolutely, and that's why I love it when I see them come out kicking off to begin the game. I just love it because I know, all right, here we go, second half, we're going to take that ball down and score. It's been great so far this year, and they were doing that last year too.
And if anything, you know, if you're letting the other team's offense start with the ball, that's only giving more confidence to your defense. That shows you that the coaches trust you to go out and you're gonna stop them right away.
Yes.
We don't have any problem with that, and then our offense is gonna come on the field and pick you up and take advantage of that. We're gonna go score. So I think just the coaches having that type of mentality and that type of confidence in their players that not only can they handle them and keep it close in the first half, but absolutely shut them down in the second half, just does a huge thing to the players' confidence going forward.
Absolutely.
And as we alluded in the first half of this show, torch that weak
turnover machine.
Yes, he is.
And he's got, I believe, if
7.
I'm not mistaken, 7. He's like the most turnovers out of any quarterback in the NFL right now. And I think he actually leads pretty much all players with turnovers.
One thing I noticed last week, too, to further your conversation with Gino, is he's not very accurate. If he has to move outside of the pocket at all, he is not accurate. That ball is not on the money, and that's why I think Eric Decker and Jeremy Curley, I think, aren't going to be as big of factors because they can't do anything if they can't get the ball in their hands.
You may not even see Eric Decker on the field today. He's highly questionable, game time decision. Retweaked his hamstring in practice on Thursday.
What a shame.
So, total. couldn't have happened to a better ex-Bronco.
Yes.
And all that money is getting paid to sit on the bench.
Exactly,
right?
Exactly. But, when you take away basically Gino's number one receiving threat, and albeit not at 100% or not, it's still going to be a huge, huge advantage for the Chargers D and who they have to cover and being able to get that pressure to Gino when his receivers can't break away.
Absolutely. Jeremy Curley, he's somebody that a lot of people aren't talking about, but he's a weapon. And if he can get the ball, that's something that the Chargers need to focus on. We can't just let him, run rampant and have a body not on him because like we saw, and I don't know what happened last week in that Jaguars where, that receiver just got loose and was 30 yards behind the coverage. That cannot happen with this team. They're a lot more dangerous than Jaguars are on offense, in my opinion.
Right. Part of the reason is that the pocket broke down a little bit and he got outside the pocket. Also, I think there was a miscommunication defensively because as bad as that looked on Eric Weddle, I actually don't believe that deep coverage was his responsibility. I think that there was something else blown in that. But I think that if we can get the constant pressure and we can make Gino have to actually make some decisions back there, that is ultimately going to benefit the Chargers. That's for sure.
Can I just chime in on something? I really want to tell you guys I love yoga pants.
Okay, yeah. I think I just became a fan of yoga pants as well.
God's greatest creation. Yoga pants.
Not yoga pants on me, but just yoga pants in general.
I'm glad that you threw that out there because I totally agree with that statement.
It would not look good on us guys.
So we were talking about the Chargers having to get out to an early lead, and our defense stepping in to continue the turnover terror that they've done through the first 4 weeks. Who are you looking forward to, making big plays out there this week against the Jets?
Well, hopefully King Dunlop. Let's get this guy involved in the game. And, I think he's worth the money, but he needs to grow up and evolve a little bit.
Are you talking specifically just off like the altercation he had last week off a branch?
Right,
okay.
Right. You gotta put the emotions aside, do your job, and let's win some football games.
Absolutely.
I was a little worried in the beginning because the Chargers they were giving up long third downs. The defense wasn't looking all that good, and yet the end result was a good thing.
Everybody's criticized the offensive line in general all this week, just with getting the running game going and getting that continuity, limit the mistakes, and basically make holes in the defense. And again, it's going to be a challenge today when you're going up with the Jets with the number one run defense in the league. So, like you said, King Dunlap as well as the other 4 guys along the line are going to have to be on their A game today.
Absolutely. It's interesting. I've been a Charger fan for over 40 years, and when they do their job, it's a good thing. But sometimes, especially in the past, you never know who's going to show up, and that's my biggest controversy right there. It's like I want the Chargers to show up. I don't want the Chargettes.
Yeah, I think I kind of feel that's part of the culture change. That I think we're going to see less of that, than we have seen in the past before. I really believe in McCoy and Telesco. But there's just been a complete shift on the way they approach the games, how they approach being professionals. Just a lot of that nonsense you heard before, locker room fighting, some schisms in the locker room. You don't hear that anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. You talk about a culture change, the whole attitude of the team in general. You hear Eric Weddle talking on 1090 this week just about how it's the players are just so close to each other now, and it's just they all believe in one another. They're always picking one another up whenever, if one's having a bad play or if one's getting a good play, there's either encouragement from both sides of the spectrum there. And so it's just as they've evolved as a team, as they have united as a team on both the offense and the defensive side of the ball. Yeah. And just getting that type of continuity and that culture that's grown from Telesco down has just been huge.
All right, guys, we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we get back, we have Mike Costa from 1360 coming on.
Nice.
All right, so stay tuned.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Okay, you fantasy football players of San Diego, you know what time it is. It's your time on the Fantasy Corner of San Diego Sports Junkies. I'm your host, Steve-O, and thank you for tuning in every Wednesday to enjoy some fantasy football smack talk with myself and the rest of the Sports Junkies. Now that preseason's over, I encourage you, our valued listener, to tune in weekly for your starts and sits and my sneaky free agent pickup of each week. So throughout the week, hit me up on Twitter at FantasyCorner17, or you can email me at thefantasycorner17@gmail.com. And always stay locked in Wednesdays on the Fantasy Corner at www.SanDiegoSportsJunkies.com/fantasy. Bring it.
You need help with your business project that is due? Maybe you need business cards to help your business stand out. We at San Diego Sports Junkies got you covered. SK Digital Imaging can do it all. Give our buddy Sean K a call, 858-408-0732. SK Digital Imaging, from business cards to the bigger projects, SK Digital Imaging and our buddy Sean K will get your printing done right.
What's up, guys? We're back at Qualcomm Stadium in H3, and we got the infamous Mike Costa to join the conversation. What's up, Mikey?
How you guys doing, man? Thanks for having me. My first time. I'm honored.
I appreciate you coming down, man.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Yeah.
So you were kind of talking about your role. You did your fantasy show this morning.
Yep.
We were talking really about this Chargers offense, and the question that you brought up 2 weeks ago to us, the running game. So as far as the interior of our offensive line, our current situation with injuries at the running back situation, do you see this Chargers offense implementing this running game this week, or is it going to be similar to the Jags game last week where Phillip Rivers is going to have to torch the secondary?
The thing with the running game is we have Nick Hardwick in studio with us twice a week. Yeah. So if anyone's going to know about whether a running game is working or not, it's a veteran center like he is. And he said, even though you're not ripping off huge chunks of yardage,
right?
Think about the boxing vernacular. Those handoffs, those are little body blows, whether it's 1 yard or 2 yards, and it sets up an offense for the headshot, for the knockout, which is a long pass. So a long-winded answer to your question, you can't abandon it. You've got to keep doing it, because later on this year, you're going to need to be able to run the football. If you're burning clock, if you're on the East Coast somewhere and the weather's bad, you have to have a running game. So will they gain 100 yards against the Jets today? No, because the Jets have an awesome defensive front.
Right.
But you've got to get out there and continue to try to establish it.
And one thing I heard you guys say, I think on Friday on your show, was using David Johnson, right? And that's one thing I didn't think about. It's like we need that lead guy. When we had Lorenzo Neal, obviously opened up the running game and opened up some holes, because those holes are getting plugged out very quickly right now. And I thought that was important that you brought up.
And David's been nicked up the last week or so, but this is now whatever it takes. If you're going to spring Brown, you're going to spring Oliver. If we see Shane Drone in there running the ball a little bit, if that is the one missing ingredient, it's that lead blocker through a hole. Again, if you can turn a 2 yard gain into a 5 or 6 yard gain every so often, throw him in there at fullback. It can't hurt you.
Yeah, absolutely. That's kind of what I was touching on with the guys a little bit earlier, as far as having that fullback back there. You didn't really get much production with LaRon McClain back there last year with Ryan Matthews having his career season. But you have David Johnson back there, another guy with the way that the offensive line is structured, still gaining that continuity together, and another guy to take on a defensive lineman. It's only going to help the running game going forward. So like you said, it may gain 1 yard, 2 yards, doesn't matter. At the very end, it's going to be able to set something else that the Chargers offense can use, and hopefully enough to the point where the time Ryan Matthews gets back, that the running game will be back in full swing.
And, if you've got David Johnson firing out, let's say on a defensive end or an outside linebacker, that alleviates you having to keep Gates, Phillips, Ladarius Green, hopefully into chip on that end defensive guy. You can, release him into if you're going to go play action, release him into the passing game. So even if you're not going to have success with it, at least keep the defense guessing. That's the way you want to go.
And that takes me to the next point was, do you think this is when we see Ladarius Green? I know we say this every week. Is this the week we see Ladarius Green become the next guy?
Yeah. That's the $1 million question, because we all know he's talented, and he's got the size, and he's got the range. And last week, them needing to suit him up literally just to have enough for the roster, he wasn't going to get into the game at all. To answer your question, I don't know. Because we know he has a body of work that when he's healthy, he can be deadly. I think it's just a matter of him being healthy enough to get onto a field and get significant in-game reps. You can't replicate this stuff in practice. In-game series is how he's going to get better and grow.
One thing that we were talking about early in the show was Eddie Royal. As you remember, in 2013, he came out on fire. Then he started to battle little injuries. Same startup this year. Through the first 4 games, got 4 touchdowns. The guy's been absolutely on fire. How much of a factor he is today, and not only today, can he stay healthy enough? And if so, he's just going to take that offense to a new level.
I think he will stay healthy enough, because they're not leaning on him right now to do everything. He's part of a wide receiving core. First off, when your quarterback is playing just in a completely different stratosphere,
right?
Any mediocre wide receiver is going to look good. Your good wide receivers are going to look great. And defenses, pick your poison now. Oh, you want to double down on Eddie? Keenan, Malcolm, hopefully Ladarius. Oh, by the way, number 85 on his way to the Hall of Fame. So I think Eddie Royal continues to flourish in this offense just because there are so many guys to go to through the air.
Right.
And that's what, he was running free in the secondary last week. And by the way, the Jets secondary is atrocious.
Yes, it is.
Great front seven, horrible secondary. So those guys are ripe to get some big numbers again today.
Yeah, Mike, we had touched on it a couple weeks ago when Woodhead went down with his injury. We were wondering who was going to come into the game and pick up the slack for him. Has it been Eddie Royal in that circumstance, whether or not he's going over the middle and catching those short little drives, or like he did last week against Jacksonville, going for 43 and 47 to the house?
It could be, because a lot of times, we saw Woodhead line up in the slot. We saw him have success out of the backfield on the little belly patterns. Eddie's that slot guy. He's that small guy that can disappear in a secondary, much like Danny did. So even though he doesn't play the same position, he's that production that we lose with having Danny Woodhead on the IR. Right now, Eddie Royal's the guy who's filling in and pitching in.
Yeah, Mike, I know one thing that you brought up that I thought was interesting that I don't think anyone's talking enough about is the Jets' running game. We talk about Geno Smith. We talk about the defense being awesome up front, horrible in the secondary. But what about their run game? You're right. You have Chris Johnson and Chris Ivory. Yep.
Yeah.
Chris Ivory. How do you think we're going to fare against those two guys?
Chris Johnson, although he's on the downside of his career, is still grease lightning.
Right.
He probably when he's 50 will still be faster than some of the running backs in the league. So you can't discount. You can't think, he's getting older. He can't hurt us. He can kill you. Ivory can't. Ivory, a bigger back, physically could take a bigger toll on you than a guy like Chris Johnson. You have to respect the Jets' running game, and they've got to go to it just to establish some sort of offense. Geno Smith is so hot and cold. Yeah. He can look great on one series, and you can think, okay, that's why they drafted him where he did. And then come out the very next series and look like he has no concept of what they're trying to do. The one constant for them is their running game, and that's why look for them to establish that early on.
Yeah, like you mentioned, the Jets have had long list of running backs that have killed us. Like you guys mentioned, Thomas Jones.
Yeah.
Sean Green even looked good against us. Curtis Martin, of course, amazing. So yeah, I think that's something that a lot of fans aren't talking about, but it may end up being what decides the game, how we stop their running game. Because if we can make Geno Smith one-dimensional and make him have to beat us, I like our chances.
Yeah. Speaking of nobody talking about, Mike, maybe you can, I'm not sure if you guys have talked about this on your show at all, but I brought up that nobody really brought in the Kellen Clemens factor here of the knowledge that he has of the Rex Ryan defense. And what that means, for Phillip Rivers, because historically Rex has come in and even here at San Diego, 4-1 in his last 5 games and put up good numbers against Phillip Rivers. So is having Kellen Clemens back there as your backup, is that great knowledge for Phillip Rivers to have?
It is in some way. I'm sure that the terminology in the playbook may have changed since Kellen was with them. We had Kellen on this week, and I asked him about playing in the bubble that is New York. Is it the same in any NFL city? He goes, no, it is completely different. The great thing Kellen said, it's not a great thing, but the one thing you really got to watch out with the Rex Ryan defense is he is a master at disguising where the pressure is going to come from. And they are big on, you got linebackers creeping up, you got corners creeping up, maybe even the safety creeping up, and you may think, here, pressure's coming up the middle, you blink, and someone's coming from the blind side and dumping your quarterback. So he's really great at disguising those defenses. What has about the Jets, I can guarantee you, has already been given to the Chargers on how to beat them.
Now, every Charger fan here today is going to want to put a whooping on the Jets. They've left a nasty taste in their mouth from the losses in the playoff series, Nate Kading missed field goals. And what are your X factor for today, and what are your keys to the Chargers' victory today?
My X factor in today's game is going to be Antonio Gates, because I think they're looking at Eddie Royal and maybe starting to talk in terms of you want to double him. You already know you got to double Keenan Allen. Gates has been a little quiet since the big game here against Seattle. So I would say Antonio Gates is my X factor. And because I have short-term memory loss, what was the second part of the question?
So you got the X factor in Antonio Gates. So what are your keys to a Chargers victory this Sunday?
We're sitting here sweating, and we're underneath the tent.
Right.
Yep.
So we have the same scenario. Game. The Jets have shown the last couple of weeks that if you get them down and you hit them with a couple things early on, they fold the tent. They're a wounded bear. Yeah. They're 1-3, and they lose this game. You can kiss any sort of playoff scenario goodbye. And Rex Ryan is a lame duck coach, so they're going to come out. They're going to be dangerous.
And I'm going to ask you the opposite. Any way the Chargers lose this game in your mind?
Sure.
What do you think has to happen for that?
They don't protect Phillip Rivers, and they can't establish any sort of run game.
Okay.
We hear it all the time. It's still the NFL. It's a prideful group over there on the Jet sideline.
Do you need help with your business project that is due? Maybe you need business cards to help your business stand out. We at San Diego Sports Junkies got you covered. SK Digital Imaging can do it all. Give our buddy Sean K a call, 858-408-0732. SK Digital Imaging, from business cards to the bigger projects, SK Digital Imaging and our buddy Sean K will get your printing done right.
Okay, you fantasy football players of San Diego, you know what time it is. It's your time on the Fantasy Corner of San Diego Sports Junkies. I'm your host, Steve-O, and thank you for tuning in every Wednesday to enjoy some fantasy football smack talk with myself and the rest of the Sports Junkies. Now that preseason's over, I encourage you, our valued listener, to tune in weekly for your starts and sits and my sneaky free agent pickups of each week. So throughout the week, hit me up on Twitter at FantasyCorner17, or you can email me at thefantasycorner17@gmail.com. And always stay locked in Wednesdays on the Fantasy Corner at www.SanDiegoSportsJunkies.com/fantasy. Bring it.
But they can't get me down. Got my own self by my side, and mentally we gotta be free. I see the wickedness coming full speed, but I hold together like...
It is a different animal, though. His defense front seven is a beast. His secondary is very suspect. Very similar to the Jaguars, in my opinion. I think the offensive strategy is going to be very similar to the Jaguars.
Make something happen today. I'd say maybe
the Jets' chest, because they've done it to us, 4 out of the last 5 seasons, and they're
the fans, getting out, Charger Blue, get out there and yell and
after I think there was a short, quick routes are going to be more of a focus today.
They're dominant.
I mean, our defense has just played fantastic. I mean,
agree.
it's been a
very closely.
Did a rotation of him and Richard Marshall back there in that corner position. Steve Williams, because Steve Williams struggled a little bit last week against the Jets. That three-headed monster. Big today. He's going to play every single snap.
I hope you're right, man. Like I said, when he's on the field, he's exciting. The kid's got the skills. We were very suspect. Huge event coming up. Can you explain to our fans what we got going on October 26th?
Absolutely. So we obviously live to tailgate Charger football. So basically every year this is going to be our 5th annual Spring Valley barbecue and tailgate festival. We put that can cook. We want them to come out, and we always do it typically on bye week. Boltz. This it's a great event, and we can't wait to have you guys out there and get some good Charger fans. We'll have a bunch of Charger gear and giveaways as well.
Absolutely, guys. And if you're ever looking for a spot to catch a Chargers game or maybe a MMA fight, boxing match, all the big sports are played at Cali Comfort. So come on down the heart of Spring Valley off of Troy Street. Have some of their low and slow barbecue. They got 24 beers on tap. It's a great facility, and the fact that the owner is a diehard Chargers fan just make it that.
Okay, you fantasy football players of San Diego, you know what time it is. It's your time on the Fantasy Corner of San Diego Sports Junkies. I'm your host, Steve-O, and thank you for tuning in every Wednesday to enjoy some fantasy football smack talk with myself and the rest of the sports junkies. Now that preseason's over, I encourage you, our valued listener, to tune in weekly for your starts and sits and my sneaky free agent pickups of each week. So throughout the week, hit me up on Twitter at FantasyCorner17, or you can email me at thefantasycorner17@gmail.com. And always stay locked in Wednesdays on the Fantasy Corner at www.SanDiegoSportsJunkies.com/fantasy. Bring it.
But they can't get me down. Got my own self by my side, and mentally we gotta be free. I see the wickedness coming full speed.
Project that is due. Maybe you need business cards to help your business stand out. We at San Diego Sports Junkies got you covered. SK Digital Imaging can do it all. Give our buddy Sean K a call, 858-408-0732. SK Digital Imaging. From business cards to the bigger projects, SK Digital Imaging and our buddy Sean K will get your printing done right.
Cali Comfort and pick up
stopping their
said
Thank you for listening to the San Diego Sports Junkies, a show for fans, by the fans. Brought to you by Cali Comfort, home of the Low and Slow Barbecue and SK Digital Imaging, with Josh Taylor, Justin Smead, Jason Eidsmo, and Mike Maciejewski. Subscribe to us on iHeartRadio, on Spreaker, and on iTunes. Visit SanDiegoSportsJunkies.com for all your Chargers, Padres, and Aztecs news.